All right, so now we're actually ready to join. So we have our, prepared earlier, our stitches all on our circular needle. Now to get them onto the circular needle, what I did is, remember we cast it onto the straight. So all we needed to do to fix that and get it onto our circular is I go from the tail and from the first stitch, so the end. So I push it down the needle to the end, and then all I have to do is literally slide those stitches off onto the sock needle. The other thing is, while you're doing this, you can check your count, and if you're confident that you're not going to fall asleep or you don't need those markers in, when you get to it, you can just drop your marker out. Done. Continue like that, and then once they're all over, we've got it here. This is what we're left with now. So biggest thing with circular knitting, you do not want to tangle your yarn. So what I do, I'll just pull you back so you can see. I lie it flat. I make sure we have no twist in there, which we don't. And then I turn it around and lie it flat again. Okay, you can probably do this to begin with. So what I want showing, if you can see, is the wrong side. So the wrong side, so that's our right side, there, and that's our wrong side. So I want the wrong side on the table or wherever you're working. Stitches are all neat. They're ready to be joined. So then, I'll pull this back so you can see. So then I get the tips, one in each hand, tips. I pull them together, I lift it up. So now I have the right side facing me. I slide the stitches to the end of both needles without dropping them, preferably. So now, to make sure my tail and my working yarn isn't in the middle, coming up through the centre of the circular, I am just going to take it over and make sure it's at the back. Now I am going to get my working yarn, not my tail, my working yarn, all right, and I've got my other needle here. So I am going to, there's two ways to do this. One is to slip the stitch over, slip the last stitch over the first stitch and put it back, joined. Or you can knit the two of them together through the back loop. So I will show you both. So the first one is knitting together through the back loop. So what I do is I slip the first stitch on the left hand needle over onto the right hand needle, right? Then what I do then is I take my needle and I just go and pick up those two stitches. There's one, and there's two. There's two. Oh, sorry, two. So now I have them ready to knit through the back. So there's the first stitch and the last stitch. Then I knit it through the back, and then pull that yarn tight to make sure you clip that join in and over the top. So now I have gone the two stitch and joined, and then we'll put it back on our other side. Alright, so where you would usually get a gap in between the joining of the circulars, this is where it would usually happen. So then what you do is you pull those tight. Pull tight. Pull tight. Okay, and then I put the stitch marker on. And then I slip that first stitch that we just knitted the two together back over onto the other side. Pull the yarn. Okay. Give it a tug, and then we have closed this gap up. That's our first stitch done. And then you would continue on doing the rib. Just like that. Alright, so then our other method is using 2 needles, and I'll do a separate video for that one. First we have to do the slip over the top method. So I'm just pulling this down so that I can use it again. Right, so I've got them ready to go again. So this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip that first stitch on the left hand side onto the right hand needle. Make sure you take away your stitch marker from last time, which you won't have. Alright, slipped it over. Okay, then what I'm going to do is grab that first stitch next to it, like that, and I'm going to bring that over the top of the other yarn, and then I'm going to grab a tail and pull it shut, and there you go, we've closed it. So then what we need to do is put the stitch marker in. So we go and take that out, put the stitch marker back in. Slide back that stitch, give it another tug just to be ready and sure, and then we've got our first stitch already knitted. Second stitch through, and there we go, you've got it. That's the other method where you slide it over the top. Bye.